Most people think maturity is loud. They think it means status, money, age, titles, confidence, being respected by everyone in the room. But here is the truth. Many adults are only children with better vocabulary. They have jobs, they have families, they have expensive watches, they have polished opinions. But one insult destroys their peace. One delay ruins their day. One rejection breaks their identity. One person's silence becomes an emotional emergency. That is not maturity. That is dependence wearing a suit. True maturity is not how powerful you look when life obeys you. It is how calm you remain when life refuses to. It is not the ability to dominate others. It is the ability to govern yourself. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest battle was not against armies. It was against anger, ego, fear, desire, the restless mind. Epictetus was born a slave, but he became freer than most kings. Seneca had wealth, influence, and power, but he warned that a man who cannot control himself owns nothing. True maturity is quiet. It does not need applause. It does not demand attention. It does not explain itself to every confused person. It stands still while the world performs. Inside every person, there is a citadel, a private inner fortress, the place where your judgment lives, the place where your choices are made, the place no one can enter unless you open the gate. The Stoics believed this inner citadel was sacred because outside of it, almost everything is unstable. People change. Money comes and goes. Reputation rises and falls. Bodies age. Plans collapse. The world interrupts you without permission. But inside, there is one thing you can protect: your response. Emotional regulation does not mean you feel nothing. That is not wisdom. That is numbness. A mature person still feels anger. They still feel sadness. They still feel fear. They still feel disappointment. But they do not hand the steering wheel to those emotions. They pause. They breathe. They ask, "What is this feeling trying to make me do?" Then they decide whether that action is worthy of them. That pause is maturity, not the absence of emotion, the mastery of it. Immaturity reacts immediately. It sends the message. It raises the voice. It posts the quote. It seeks revenge. It needs someone to know it is hurt. Maturity waits, not because it is weak, but because it knows that the first impulse is often the least intelligent one. The Stoic does not ask, "How do I make this pain disappear?" The Stoic asks, "How do I meet this pain without becoming smaller?" That is emotional strength, to be provoked and not become cruel, to be hurt and not become bitter, to be misunderstood and not become desperate. The world will test your citadel every day, through disrespect, through delays, through betrayal, through people who mistake your calm for weakness. Let them. A fortress does not argue with the storm, it simply stands. The immature mind, asks one question again and again. Who is to blame? My parents, my boss, my partner, my past, my luck, my society, my pain. And sometimes the pain is real. The injustice is real. The wound is real. Stoicism does not deny this, but it asks a harder question. What is still mine to do? Radical responsibility is not saying everything is your fault. That would be foolish. It means your healing is your responsibility. Your discipline is your responsibility. Your reactions are your responsibility. Your future choices are your responsibility, even when the damage was not your fault. Especially then, because if your life depends on everyone else becoming fair, kind, honest, and emotionally mature, you will remain a prisoner forever. Epictetus taught that some things are in our control and some things are not. Your reputation is not fully yours. Your past is not changeable. Other people's behavior is not yours to command. The economy is not yours. The weather is not yours. The opinions of strangers are not yours. But your judgment is yours. Your effort is yours. Your honesty is yours. Your discipline is yours. Your ability to begin again is yours. This is where maturity begins. When you stop waiting for life to become easy before you become responsible. Most people want power without ownership. They want better results without better habits. They want peace without boundaries. They want confidence without preparation. They want respect without character. But life does not reward fantasy. It rewards alignment. What you do daily becomes who you are permanently. A mature person does not say, "This is just how I am." They ask, "Is this who I choose to remain?" That question is dangerous because it removes the excuse. And once the excuse is gone, the work begins. Responsibility is heavy at first. Then it becomes freedom. Because the moment you stop blaming everything outside you, you recover your agency. You become less interested in being rescued, more interested in being rebuilt. You stop saying, "They ruined me," and begin saying, "They revealed where I must become stronger." That is maturity, not victimhood, not denial, not coldness. Ownership, quiet, honest, relentless. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of power. In an immature world, everyone is performing. Everyone has a reaction. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a caption. Everyone wants the final word. But the mature person understands something deeper. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every accusation deserves your defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves your explanation. And not every person deserves access to your inner world. Silence is not avoidance. Sometimes silence is discipline. It is the refusal to turn your pain into noise. The refusal to let ego speak for you. The refusal to prove yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. The Stoic does not speak to impress. The Stoic speaks when speech serves truth. This is rare now, because modern life rewards reaction. Outrage gets attention. Drama gets clicks. Oversharing gets sympathy. Noise feels like existence. But maturity does not need constant evidence that it exists. It can be unseen. It can work quietly, heal quietly, build quietly, leave quietly. There is great wisdom in knowing when to walk away, not because you have nothing to say, but because saying it would cost you your peace. A mature person does not confuse silence with losing. They know that sometimes the strongest victory is not becoming what the situation invited them to become. When insulted, they do not become insulting. When betrayed, they do not become dishonest. When ignored, they do not beg to be seen. When attacked, they do not abandon their character. They remain. Marcus Aurelius wrote about meeting people who are arrogant, ungrateful, deceitful, and jealous. He did not act surprised. He expected human weakness. That expectation made him calm. This is another sign of maturity. You stop being shocked that people behave according to their level of awareness. You stop expecting depth from shallow places. You stop demanding loyalty from people ruled by convenience. You stop taking every wound as a personal attack from the universe. You simply observe. Then you choose. Silence gives you space to choose. And choice is where freedom lives. True maturity is not loud. It is not the need to look wise. It is not the hunger to be admired. It is not the performance of strength. True maturity is quiet power. It is the ability to feel deeply without being ruled blindly. It is the courage to take responsibility, even when blame would be easier. It is the wisdom to remain silent when ego begs to speak. It is building an inner life that cannot be easily invaded. The world will keep trying to pull you outward, into noise, reaction, comparison, drama, fear. But the Stoic path leads inward, back to the citadel, back to responsibility, back to silence, back to the self you were meant to govern. So today, practice one act of maturity. Do not react immediately. Do not blame automatically. Do not speak just to prove you are right. Pause. Return to yourself. Ask, what would the strongest version of me do here? Then do that, quietly. If this message found you at the right time, subscribe to Verus Mind. Here, we explore ancient Stoic wisdom for the modern mind. to build clarity, discipline, emotional strength, and a life no longer controlled by chaos. Master your thoughts. Own your reality. Thank you for walking this path of wisdom with us. If this journey brought you clarity, consider subscribing to Verus Mind. Remember, a calm mind is your greatest weapon. See you in the next one.